Welcome to Courage on the Pitch.
North Carolina champions again!
Here's Megan O'Keefe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Courage on the Pitch, presented by Wake Orthopedics Urgent Care. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. We've got a very special guest this week. Kiki Pickett is one of the new faces, one of the many new faces to the Courage this season. So she joins us on the show this week. And a little background on Kiki. She's coming to us from Kansas City, where she was drafted to in 2021, fourth overall in that draft. But before that, before she officially became pro, she had an incredible career at Stanford. And she is a true California girl. She was born in Santa Barbara, grew up, and obviously played for Stanford. Won not one, but two national championships with them. So has an amazing resume of soccer, and I'm looking forward to you guys hearing our conversation coming up. But before we get to that, let's recap an incredible weekend that the Courage had this past weekend. They faced off against the Orlando Pride on Saturday in another game of the Challenge Cup in a massive 4-2 win, and just have to highlight the record-setting 3 goals that they had in the first 9 minutes of the game. It set the record for NWSL's fastest goals scored within kickoff or 9 minutes, whatever it was. There's a record for it now. So shout out to the Courage for putting away a really impressive win. We got goals from Jaylene Daniels, Taylor Smith, Dabinia, and then the first goal actually was an own goal. So amazing game for the Courage. Kiki Pickett, our guest on the show, got an assist as well. So exciting game. And then we have another very exciting game coming up this weekend, which we will highlight at the end of this episode. So without further ado, right after this break, we will get to our conversation with Kiki.
Courage on the Pitch.
Off the field.
New face of the Courage, and I want to dive into what that transition has been like for you. But looking at your background, obviously grew up in California, born and raised, played at Stanford. So how has your transition to the East Coast been?
Very different.
Really?
Specifically the weather. I need to check the weather every hour here. I'm used to 7-degree perfect weather, maybe need a light jacket, but here it's like pouring, then it's like sunny, and then windy, and then I can't keep track.
This week in particular has been like 80, and then today was like 40.
Yeah, so
yikes.
I'm not the fan of the weather thus far.
Yeah, I feel like you're definitely spoiled from the California angle.
Correct.
Very jealous of that. But so speaking of your ability to adapt, though, you have played as a defender your whole life. And I know that this was a big storyline for you coming to the Courage, because you've been playing as a 10 or in the midfield. So how has that been for you to make that transition?
It's been, like you said, it's been different. I think one thing I want to clarify is that I actually played midfield when I was club soccer. So I didn't make that transition until U16 and then my college career. So I think I still have a little bit of that skill still left in me, a bit rusty, but I'm used to changing positions and hopefully learning from coaches and players. So being in this new position, I think it's just also a new formation and a new team and a new coach. So it's different to see what specifically Sean would want from us and what players are used to seeing. And I think just absorbing all that information in order to help the team is what's going to be what's best for the team and for myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you said you're rusty. You were not rusty at all, at least I'm watching. You got an assist this weekend. That was awesome. How did that feel?
That's true. It felt pretty good. And once you get in the flow of things, you don't realize that, oh wow, I was just a part of that great opportunity until you go back and watch the game. So I'm still getting used to that aspect as well.
Yeah, and being new to the Courage, I mean, people just talk about the Courage from the outside. You see this incredible culture and just how hard everyone works and how much success there's been. So what were some things you were kind of telling yourself as you were joining the team, and how has, it been realistically versus your expectations before you joined?
I try to have zero expectations coming in, especially with a new team and a new experience. Because you honestly never know what's going to happen, especially if you've never done it before.
Yeah.
the biggest change would be like fitting into the role of the team, because I necessarily didn't believe that I would be playing much in my own position because, they solidified their back line. And if that's going to happen, then I have to find another position. And I kind of like broke the mold in that situation. And if that is where I'm going to be, and then maybe next week I'll play forward, who knows? But if I get as many minutes on the field as much as possible, I will be considered to be X-Men, adaptive to any situation possible in order to create a successful team.
Would you play goalie?
Yeah, I would. For sure.
Goalie terrifies me. It takes like a special person to throw your body in front of the ball. Like anywhere on the team or on the field.
Yeah.
Something that's been cool with the team I've noticed, especially this season, is the elevation of the pregame outfits. So I feel like everyone's showing up with some serious fits.
Fire.
Talking with some of your teammates today, I was like, I got Kiki on the podcast. Like, what do you think we should talk about? And she's like, they all said, Kiki's got some like low-key fire outfits. Like, your fashion is stepping up. So like, what's your approach to your pregame outfits?
Usually I see what I have in my closet the day before, and I kind of like mismatch between a few different outfits, and then based on how I'm feeling that day of the game, I'd be like, okay, that works. Okay. Or when sometimes you put on an outfit and you're like, no, that didn't actually look well in my head as well as I put it on. But I see a lot of these other teams also putting out some fire. I know Gotham had their red carpet and OL with their garage picks. So I think I might have to go shopping sometime soon if I want to, compete at their level. But I think it's just like subtle little summer things that I have in my closet that I know haven't seen the light of day. So might as well show them out.
The bar has been set so high. I mean, I'm honestly trying to personally get some inspiration from what everyone's wearing. Yeah. But what is it about a pregame outfit that, I guess from like an athlete's perspective, like what's the psychology behind showing up to a game? And because people will say like, you're literally wearing it for like 2 seconds and you want to change. But what is it like, what's the importance behind rocking like an awesome outfit before the game?
I think it's also another, like, you feel good, you play good, and you're like preparing yourself just for the game. So I like to have like a pregame shower before every game. So that's going to mentally get me prepared for the game. And like, maybe I'm putting on a nice suit, some people put on a jumper, and a dress will mentally be like, I am getting ready for something more than, for the day. So I'm personally getting ready. It's like a mental thing. And yes, it's only for, 2 seconds, but we get pictures. So, it lasts forever. So I think it's like a mental aspect of like getting yourself mentally ready as well as visually in order to prepare for the game.
Yeah, that's a good point. And yeah, I was about to say, like, you get some great picks. Yes. Sometimes end up being featured on GQ because some of our players have been on there, which is incredible. But yeah, it's a couple seconds in real life, but on Instagram forever. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So before I want to dive into your Stanford career a little bit, but just to round out the courage chat, the team has been doing so well. Obviously, record-wise, we're undefeated. What is the vibe like on the team right now, especially like looking back at the start of preseason, day one, when it was kind of a question mark of like, how is this team going to mesh together? Fast forward a couple months, what is the vibe like right now?
I think we're hungry. We're not settling, and I don't think any of us have even mentioned our statistics thus far. So I think we're always striving for something better, something more, because we feel like we can do better on the field, control more of the possession, finish our opportunities, not let certain balls get, reach the back of the net. So I think there's always something to improve on, and I think that's our growth and mental mindset that we have for this team, is that we're always looking forward, we're always trying to look better. And even though we did have, a good game, what's something that we can do in order to have a great game? And I think that's the culture here at NC.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, sorry I mentioned the stats, but it has just been so impressive. So you don't need to remind everyone that I just mentioned the record, but I'm crushing it. So transitioning a little bit into your Stanford career, because that you were drafted 4th overall to Kansas City, but before that, freshman at Stanford. casual 2 national championships. You were a Pac-12 Defender of the Year your senior year. I literally went on your profile from Stanford. It was like all your accolades. I had to like scroll. There were so many. They didn't fit on one page. So looking back at your Stanford career, tons of stuff happened. Do you have a favorite moment, a highlight from your epic career in college?
I don't think there's like one favorite moment. And to be honest, the games are just a glimpse of what my Stanford career actually was. I met a lot of good friends, and they can be considered family. Um, and I think that's what made the experience so special. Not only my soccer teammates, but also the other athletes around that student athlete community. And I also had I was on a dance team on campus, and I also had those friends as well. So I think just venturing out into different clubs, different activities, getting to know a bunch of different people really helped with the Stanford experience, and also, that happiness that you bring onto the field as well. Because if you're happy at the place that you are, happy off the field, you'll translate that to your commitment on the field as well. So I think a lot of it has to do with the people that I have met more than the things that I've done on the field.
That's amazing. And it's cool to hear that you were able to honestly just juggle all of that. A dance team, by the way. What? I couldn't find that.
It was hard.
That's amazing. How did that, I think you touched on it a little bit, but how did that help your soccer career, just having like all those other outside outlets to balance out your life? Because some people just go 100% into, their sports career, could get burnt out. But what was it like for you to have all those extra outlets in helping you balance it?
Yeah. So during the fall, I was 100% committed to the soccer portion, but it wasn't until during off season, usually winter quarter, that I was mainly active in the DV8 dance team. And that was a bit difficult because we would have like 6 a.m. weights, and then I'd go to class, and then I would do some homework, maybe go to training, take a nap, wake up for dinner, go straight to dance practice, and go back to sleep, and try to get like broken sleep between those times. But I think it was a balance of dance is what I love, and you feel like the school portion drowning you out, so you have soccer. But if soccer's not going well, then you have school, and you just like kind of like rotate around in that triangle that I had. And I think it was pretty good to have multiple things to lean on when not everything is going well, or you think everything's not going well. So it was pretty exciting to balance all of that and just be present in the moments, because I know like I have to spend that moment within, be there dancing, nothing else. Be there training, nothing else. So I think it also became a little escape from everything.
Yeah, that's hard too, to especially with so much going on in your life, to have to like remind yourself to stay focused and what you're doing at the time when you have all those other things you're involved in. And this is something that I think is a really important conversation. I know it probably is for most athletes, but just having that identity outside of your sport too. And like you can tell yourself you're not just a soccer player. You have all these other skills and talents and interests. So was that something that you recognized and sort of helped you at the time?
I definitely recognize that I have different hobbies and interests outside of soccer. But I think our default is always to go back to our soccer identity. Be like, no, I'm just trying out dancing, or I'm just doing this open mic night, showing my poetry just a little bit, but I'm actually a soccer player. So I think until you actually create that inside your own identity, be like, I can actually be both. I can actually, be a poet and a soccer player. I can actually share these words to the rest of the world while they are watching my games. Like you can do both. And I feel like that's a very hard concept to wrap around, especially as us athletes. But I think it's something I'm getting better at, and finding, I think, happiness within other interests, because we only spend so many hours of the day playing soccer that we need to figure out who we are personally and find our own happiness without the ball on our feet.
Yeah. Wait, are you a poet too? Do you write poems?
Uh-huh.
You slipped that in there as well.
Just a little bit.
How long have you been doing that?
Since my freshman year.
Wow. And was this something that you kind of just did as an outlet
Mm-hmm.
at
It
first?
was an outlet for myself, and I didn't publicly share my poetry until the end of my junior year.
And in what way did you share it? Like you said,
An open mic night, and just in front of I told all of my teammates and all my friends, like, hey, you guys, I know you guys see snippets of my poetry. I want to share this with you. So like I had football friends there, I had soccer friends there, dance, and they all loved it, shared it, and I actually met my boyfriend there too. So it was a great day. Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so cool. How nervous were you to do it for the first time in front of everyone?
Extremely nervous.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine something so personal too that
Mhm.
your thing for so long, and then I just can't believe you invited all those people, because if I was doing that, I'm like, no one's coming.
Well, because I know it's probably gonna be my first and last. It is toward the end of the quarter, so I was just like, you guys, this is one and only. You guys should come and do your own stuff too, because it's open mic, so they can sing and dance. I have friends that we would do like jam sessions together. Some people play ukulele, piano, and then like I would sing sometimes. So it's just like we would just be up at night instead of going out to parties. We would just like have these jam sessions, and it's pretty fun.
That sounds so fun. If only I had musical talent, that would be great. But so what's like your poetry style? What would be like a genre or sort of your themes? Gosh, I don't even know how to even like ask a poetry question, but what's
Yeah.
your poetry vibe?
I can say when I started, most of my poetry was words that I couldn't express verbally, and I could only articulate through written word. And so all the difficulties that I had, just like going through my brain, like I can't wrap my mind around it. What am I actually thinking? I just wrote it down. And then from there, it was kind of like some therapy. Like, what am I actually going through? And then I write it down, all my feelings, and I'm like, wow, okay, that makes sense. And then being able to just like understand it, grasp it, and just hopefully learn from what I just written or what's actually been unscrambled in my brain. So that is, I guess, that was the first part of my poetry.
Wow. Was that your first and last night, or did you still do some more open mics?
I did another open mic. Wasn't as big, but I did like a Mother's Day song on the piano and just had fun with that one.
You play piano too? What is going on? When you said you're like, we have nothing to talk about. I'm not that interesting. Kiki,
Well,
you're like dropping all these gems.
because like I said, that's not like you imagine that that's not a part of your identity. You're just fiddling around with these little things.
Yeah.
But you don't think that those are interesting to other people. So you kind of just help me explain it there.
I was like, we'll just talk about soccer. And you're like, no, actually, I dance team, poetry, play piano. You're the most like well-rounded skill-wise. Wow. Okay. That's amazing. So are you like, what of all of your amazing skills are you able to do now still outside of soccer?
I have yet to find a dance studio. I have yet to bring my keyboard out here. My keyboard is in California. I do sing in the shower.
Okay.
But I think I've gotten into yoga a lot. And that I guess has to do with I can try to explain this. Musically, there's a rhythm to your breath and your heart rate. There's a flow to your body movement. So I think that also is movement is also musical, like musically. So I think that also helped me, I guess, getting into the flow of my body and just understanding the importance of breathing. And even though it could be like once a week yoga, I think it really helps find, internal peace.
Wow. You are very thoughtful and like introspective. Where does that come from? Is that
Probably the poetry.
I'm like, are your parents like this? Where you get it from?
I don't know. I really don't know. Because I guess okay, here we go.
Here we go.
My dad was a DJ in high school. So they call him Wicked Pickett. And so like anytime I go back to Santa Barbara, everyone's like, "Oh, you're Brian's daughter." They can see the resemblance. So I guess he was pretty popular, back in our hometown. So I guess I get that musical part from him. And I haven't heard any of his raps before, but I'm guessing that's that's part of it.
What?
Yeah. There's got to be something.
And what, does he just like doesn't want you to hear it, or he's just like, there's no record of this?
There's probably a record somewhere. But he does have, I don't know, like a DJ board, a portable DJ board that he likes to use sometimes. I would hear some of his beats, but never actually created a song, and hopefully one day we can. But just little things.
Yeah, casual dad's a DJ.
Used to be in high school.
I'm sure he's just dying to bring the board back out. Wow. Are your parents able to come visit here North Carolina and come back?
Yeah, they visited on our first game here at home.
I think because that's hiring for a DJ in stadium for the days, so I think your dad's visible.
So they were here for my debut, which was great. I'm glad they were able to, come and watch me play and see where I live, because I know it's good to have family around.
Mm-hmm.
And I have extended family out here on the East Coast too, so they visit sometimes as well. But
that's awesome.
Hopefully they'll come visit again, and I know we're going back to California, so I'll get to see them. So I'm excited.
That's awesome. Well, I had the pleasure of sitting in on an interview you did last week, and I thought you shared a really cool story about a moment that you and your dad had. And this was a question that they had asked you about, like a time that you had really had a win in soccer or outside of soccer that, you learned a lot about yourself and your strength, mental strength, whatever it was. Could you share that track story again? Because I thought that was beautiful, like this moment that you had with your dad where you really learned, about how strong you were mentally.
Yeah. I think I was in like 6th grade. I don't remember how old I was, but I used to run track all until high school. And I ran the 400. No one likes the 400. It's kind of difficult to run because you have to like sprint, but pace yourself so you don't die off at the last 100. So during this meet, it comes to find out that I am the only girl running in this heat. So I'm going to be first if I run it regardless. But I didn't want to run by myself. And so they told me that I can run with the boys in the last heat. And I was like, in my mind, I'm like terrified. I'm like, I don't even want to run with the boys. I don't want to run by myself. You know what? I'd rather just not run at all. It's okay, Dad. Like, I'm fine. Like, I don't need to run. And my dad came over. He recalls like me panicking, crying, just like being like, Dad, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this at all. And he looked into my eyes and said, like, you're going to do this. You can do this. I don't know what words persuaded me to get on that line, but he did everything in his power to demonstrate that I deserve to be on that line with the boys. And even though I might not win their heat, like I am still, accomplishing something as a girl. And so as soon as the gun went off, I had a very hard sprint, a very hard kick, and you're not supposed to do that because I was dying out at the end. But I eventually got second in the boys' heat, and I was like super nervous. I got through it. I didn't even like realize. I was just like, okay, I'm done, like running straight home to the back into the stands. But realizing that like I actually am good, decent for a girl to run the 400, but also can race with the boys too. So it gave me confidence, realizing that I can do anything that I wanted to do. I but sometimes push. And at that moment, my father was my push. And to this day, I'm highly motivated to do anything that I set my mind to. And it's very important to have those loved ones push you and help you realize that you deserve to be here and that you can actually accomplish the things that you want to do.
I feel like that's such a powerful story. A great example for anyone listening. If you're approaching something that you just think like, there's no way I could do this. Like, what? No, there's no way. And then you just that little extra push, whether it's a loved one or something internally, be able to push you across the line, literally. I think that's super powerful. And shout out to Ryan Kiefer from Courage Country. He's the one I got that story from. So I want to give him credit for that. But I think that's so beautiful. And I feel like everything you've shared here has been so thoughtful and makes me want to learn piano now as well. Before we wrap up, we're going to play a quick little rapid fire game. So just throw out some questions and just whatever comes to your head, say it out loud. Okay.
Yikes.
I don't know why I put this here because this is so obvious. East Coast versus West Coast.
West Coast.
Okay. I don't know why I even put that. Okay. Food that you miss the most from California or the West Coast?
My mom's food.
Of course. What do you make?
My favorite dish that she makes is called empanizados.
Ooh.
It's like steak covered in eggs, covered in saltine bash crackers. And then you fry it. Yeah, it's really good.
All right. So when they come visit,
Yeah.
bring some. That sounds so good. Okay. I heard you're a big reader.
Yes.
So favorite book?
Oh,
Big one question.
I'll show you the book I'm reading.
Oh,
I don't have a favorite book. It's called On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. She's also the bestseller author of The Hate You Give. So I think just like reading in general, just escaping from reality and entering in someone else's world that they perceive, and it's very interesting. Yeah. So yeah, that's the book I'm reading right now. I don't think I have a favorite book.
I feel like that's a tough one, but I like that. I knew you'd have a good answer either way. Okay. What about a current or recent show you've binged?
I'm watching right now. I'm watching Judge Steve Harvey. It's like he brings people into court just for like common sense, and you just laugh because this can be solved outside of this publicized court. But that's another thing I love to watch. I think comedic stuff and just being able to laugh. But also can do like an Ozarks, a thriller, interesting, on your seat. But I can also, relax and go down to Bridgerton, and enjoy a cup of tea. So I have a lot of shows.
Did you say a cup of tea?
Yeah.
That was amazing, but thank you so much. And yeah, go take a nap. I know you've had a long day.
Yes, awesome. Thank you, Megan.
Coming up on Courage on the Pitch.
All right, thanks, Kiki, for joining us on the show. Now let's look towards this weekend. We have our final group stage game in the Challenge Cup, and we are sitting pretty in first place of the East Division for the Challenge Cup, but we face off against the Washington Spirit, who sit close behind us in second place in our division. And so we play them on Saturday, the 23rd. Kickoff is at 1 p.m. It's going to be a beautiful day, so be sure to get your tickets to come to the game. But the game will also be live on the big CBS Sports Network, so you can tune in there on actual cable. So watch us if you're not able to come in person. But again, the 23rd on Saturday, we kick off against the Spirit at 1 o'clock. And a couple of scenarios: if we win that game, we will host the semifinals of the Challenge Cup on May 4th. If we tie, we may or may not host. And if we lose, we may or may not even make it to the semifinals. So much at stake for this game. Be sure to tune in. And again, thanks for tuning into the podcast, and we hope you have a great
Courage on the Pitch with Megan O'Keefe is part of the Capital Broadcasting Podcast Network, with new shows available every Thursday on WRALSportsFan.com or wherever you get your podcasts.